Have you ever stopped to think how one man, without machines, without technology, managed to build something the size of a modern building in the middle of nowhere, 450 feet long, 75 feet wide, 3 full stories high? These aren't just measurements, they're an impossible challenge. And yet, one man accepted it. His name was Noah. And it all began with a voice, a direct command, clear, impossible to ignore. Build an ark. No detailed explanations, no manuals, no human help. Just faith, and a mission that would change human history forever. But what most people never realize is that the real challenge wasn't the ark itself. It was everything that came before it, because before there was wood, structure, and walls. There was the ground. Imagine Noah walking alone, studying the land, feeling the soil beneath his feet, analyzing every detail. He needed a place that was firm, stable, far from landslides, and at the same time close to the trees he would need. No maps, no engineers, no references, just discernment and faith. And when he finally found the right place, the hardest and most invisible part began. Preparing the ground, removing massive stones, pulling out deep roots, leveling every inch of the land, compacting the soil to support tons of wood. But there was a bigger problem. A detail that changes everything, and that almost no one talks about. Back then, rain didn't exist the way it does today. The Bible says a mist would rise from the earth and water everything, which means the ground was constantly moist. And moist ground turns into mud. Tools sink, wood absorbs water. So Noah had to do something even more intelligent. He created channels in the ground. Small trenches to redirect the moisture, to control something invisible that could destroy everything. Meanwhile, people walked by. They watched. They laughed. Look at that old man, preparing a massive foundation in the middle of nowhere. But Noah didn't respond, because when someone receives a command from God, they don't work based on what they see. They work based on what they believe. And when the ground was finally ready, the next challenge began. The wood. Make the ark out of cypress wood. But we're not talking about small trees. We're talking about massive trunks, heavy, dense, resistant. Each tree required strength, time, persistence, day after day, strike after strike, until the sound of the fall echoed through the forest. But cutting them down was just the beginning. Now came the impossible part. Transporting those massive logs without machines. The solution? An ancient, brilliant technique, wooden rollers. The giant trunk rolled forward, slowly, and the rollers from the back moved to the front. Again and again. Slow, exhausting, but effective. And as this was happening, more people gathered. More mockery. More doubt. But Noah kept going, because he wasn't working to impress people. He was working to obey God. And then came the most critical moment of the entire construction. The foundation, the backbone of the ark. Here's something almost no one notices. No tree in the world was 450 feet long, which means Noah had to join multiple trunks together to create one continuous structure. Strong, straight, unbreakable. He used wooden joints, systems that, when done right, are stronger than the wood itself. Dowels, pins, perfect connections. And then, the structure began to rise. The ribs of the ark started to appear. Massive curves, lifted with ropes, levers, and human strength. Every angle had to be perfect. One mistake, and everything could collapse. Imagine the scene. A gigantic structure rising in a place where there had never been a sea. Impossible to ignore, impossible to understand, but impossible to stop. And when everything started taking shape, came one of the most important moments: sealing the ark. Cover it inside and out with pitch. It wasn't just about building, it was about sealing, waterproofing, protecting against something that had never happened before, but was about to. Every crack, every joint, every detail, covered inside and out. Because one failure would mean the end. And then the ark stopped being just a structure and became a refuge, a shelter against the unknown. But something essential was still missing. The interior, the Bible says, make compartments. This wasn't an empty space. It was organized, planned, intelligent. Large animals below, medium in the middle, small ones above. Everything designed to maintain balance, order, survival. It wasn't just an ark. It was a floating city with food for an entire year, ventilation, drainage, complete logistics. And then came the most symbolic moment of all, the door. A massive opening. And at the same time, the most vulnerable point. Noah, built Italiano, reinforced it. Prepared it, but the Bible says something astonishing. God himself shut the door. And then something supernatural happened. The animals came, on their own, organized, no chaos, no attacks, as if an invisible force was guiding every step. And when everything was inside, silence took over. Then, the earth shook. The deep fountains burst open. Water exploded from the ground, and, for the first time in history, rain fell from the sky. This was no ordinary rain. It was relentless, violent, unstoppable. Outside, the world fell into panic. Inside, life was preserved. And then, the ark moved. It floated. It fulfilled its purpose. 40 days of rain, 150 days of waters covering everything, months of waiting silence and routing endurance, until one day, God remembered Noah. The wind blew. The waters began to recede. The ark came to rest, and hope returned. A robin, a daube, an olive leaf, a sign, life. Beginning again, and when they finally stepped out, the world was different. Silent, new, reset. And Noah's first action wasn't to build, wasn't to plant. It was to give thanks, an altar, a sacrifice, and then a promise. Never again. And in the sky, an eternal sign. The rainbow. The ark wasn't just wood. It was faith turned into action. It was obedience. When no one understood, it was continuing, even when being mocked. And maybe the most important question isn't, how did Noah build the ark? But, what are you willing to build when no one believes in you? Because Noah's story didn't end there. In fact, that was just the beginning. If you want to understand how humanity started again, the next video will show you something most people never notice. So click now.